Alright guys, welcome back to our fourth episode of the weekly recaps. This episode's going to go over episodes 7 and 8, which are up on YouTube from our Flagon campaign. Today we've got Jacob again, our DM, who's doing random numbers. We've got Zach, who's our moderator. Random numbers. We've got Zach, who's our moderator and currently running the stream for me. And then we've got Hunter, who plays Anzu, and he's our guest for the day.
You look so handsome. Look at that. You look like you're about to go shoot a commercial where you walk on the sand and then spray cologne on yourself, Hunter.
I am the commercial.
So, to get into this episode, we're going to explain what happened in episodes 7 and 8. I'm going to go ahead and run through that really quick. Then we're going to have some questions from Zach for Jacob and the rest of the group. And then Zach's got a couple questions for Hunter on Anzu's character specifically.
As always, you may ask questions in the chat. We may or may not get to them depending on time.
Yes. Alright, so in episode 7, that was when we first got in, or we started kind of exploring throughout Cobalt Conservatory. Basically, we had gotten there, and everyone just kind of went off into their own little thing. I remember that Anzu had some stuff that was going on. He had to go off and make sure that there was some stuff in the school that he needed to figure out and stuff. We'll get into that in a sec, though. Anzu's character goes off and does a couple things to make sure that the college is still running okay. There was a couple things that start going on while we had just gotten there. And basically that has to do with some disappearances throughout the college. One of the teachers ended up disappearing, so Anzu had to take her place as a professor at the school. And then students start disappearing as well. It's like all this is also happening at the same time. So when I go through who's going through what, that's what's going on. So at the same time, we've got Zygon, who's just kind of like me and Zygon went into the aviary, and we were talking to some birds and trying to get them to poop on Anzu's statue. And it was about a 30-minute conversation between me and some New York-style birds, so that was really funny. New Jersey.
Can't do that, can you?
I can't, no. Not as well. My accent wasn't too bad in the episode, but I gotta be into doing accents. But, and we had, I forget what was Thea Foley doing that episode. She was kind of like, was learning stuff about her aunt. We had first seen her aunt in a statue, which led the rest of the group to understand that her aunt was one of the founders, but none of us really knew it was her aunt at first. We found that out a little bit later. And what was she doing? Braun was looking around the school. He was just kind of looking around. It was a pretty like look around type of episode. Everyone was just kind of looking around and doing their own thing. Braun was looking around the school. He was just kind of trying to find some stuff out. Thea was looking around the school. She was finding some stuff out. Anzu was doing his thing. And then Lochnar was drinking.
I believe he was drinking and hitting on the that girl that he met.
That one teacher, yeah. And then in episode 8, we had a couple of us go down to West Run. That was our first online episode. I am muted for about 20 minutes because I didn't really know how to work the online episode at first.
Look how far we've come, right?
Yeah. I cut out most of the part that wasn't important, so you don't just sit there and not hear me talk for a while. There's only a couple conversations that was actually important in. But basically, me and Thea go down to West Run with Zygon, I think. Someone comes with us. If someone wants to correct me, they can. But basically, everyone else kind of stayed at the school. So half of us went to Western, half of us stayed at the school. And then the big part of that episode was that Anzu had a couple more conversations. We'll get into that again. And Thea's little sister got taken. She disappeared. And so we were kind of chilling out in Western when we had heard that. One of the other students who was also a Kinku came down. Her name was Annie. She'll be a little bit more important later. She told me and Thea that she had gotten taken, so we ran back to the place, and we found out there was a portal on top of that had been like opened, and that was the end of that episode. So it was 2 very short episodes, but sorry. The overall thing is that Anzu's got a lot of storyline in the 2 episodes, and even though they're only like 2 hours long each, it was a lot of Anzu. So we can go ahead and jump into the first questions from Zach for the group.
Episode 8 is the first online episode. Was the move from playing in person to playing online a difficult transition?
I don't know how you two feel, but for me it was definitely hard. Because when you're sitting together at a table, you feed off each other's energy. It's similar to like improv or acting on a stage or anything like that. You feed off the other people's energy, and it was really hard for me when we transitioned to online. I was not into it. I was like, I think I remember telling Caleb, like, I'm not feeling this at all. Like, this is not working well. And I felt off like that session. Like, I really didn't feel that great about it. But like that, either the next week or the week after that, after episode 9, we got into this zone, and I think we've kind of figured it out. And I've learned
a lot better
that vocal stuff is a lot more necessary in this. It conveys emotion, whereas if you look at our old episodes, where we were at the table, I'm doing a lot more hand motion and stuff like that, but now it's a lot more vocal, and it's just something we've needed to adjust to, and I think we've gotten there. And with the way our lives are going after college, we're probably all going to be separated anyway, so this is probably how we're going to stay for this foreseeable future. So,
yeah. I liked it was definitely Jacob told me, he was like, yeah, I'm not feeling it and stuff, and I was a little sad. I was like, oh, like we've invested so much time in this already, like we don't have to keep going if you don't want to. But I think me and Abby were like talking, like, let's try to see just how the next couple weeks play out, see how this summer goes. But I think a couple things that definitely helped out was everyone started getting into the rhythm of playing online. I was able to figure out the stream a lot better, and the stream started coming out a lot more consistent. The connection for, I think, Abby and
Brady
and Corey, Brady's is iffy. Brady's is good some days and not as good the other days. But for Abby and Corey, they're usually pretty jumpy. That's just something that we still need to work on. It's hard to like be able to buy internet connection that runs that well. So, but other than that, like those streams are going they're a lot more controlled now. I've been able to add intros to the stream. I've been able to add cut screens. I've been able to add music in the background that isn't just playing off of a TV behind us. So, yeah, that online switch was not. It wasn't great. We don't have the same dynamic, but like once we figured out how to get the online dynamic, it's still a lot of fun. And Jacob using Tabletop Simulator probably helps a lot for all of us to kind of stay with we're playing D&D,
yeah,
and we're in the middle
sure.
of a fight instead of just vocalizing the fight.
Yeah, so Michael brought that up to me, and the session where, I know this is kind of jumping ahead, but like one thing about my computer is it's not good enough to handle a lot of models on screen, so we're gonna have to work on that if I want to build bigger maps. But Tabletop Simulator definitely helped. If they want to sponsor us, that'd be great. But yeah, it's definitely helped for sure.
Hunter, do you have anything to add?
I loved it. If I wanted to take a poop, I could go take a poop. I mean, it was great.
Go make noodles, you could go make noodles.
Exactly. Like, yeah. I mean, it was amazing. I think after a while, it did take a little bit to get used to. I certainly didn't have that many problems, but I know some people were frustrated with the internet connections and all that, and I'd say that was really the only thing that really got us going. But other than that, I mean, it's been fine for me anyway.
Question 2. Both Caleb and Hunter really get into character. As a DM, do you prefer when players do this?
I mean, yeah. The one reason why I like my players to do that is so that when they say something as themselves, I know it's not in the game. So like I try to encourage my tables to roleplay at least a little. Like, I know that Brady is kind of apprehensive about it sometimes, so he'll say like Zygon does this. I'm fine with that. Everybody's at a different level, and like Caleb got into role playing immediately because he had played before. Hunter kind of got into it because Hunter is just naturally good at being theatrical. And I mean, I think everybody in the group is starting to kind of get into it more, and they're starting to know their characters more. And the thing that I really like is after we go off stream, everybody's still referring to each other as their characters for a little bit. So it just shows me that it's kind of starting to get more ingrained into them. So yeah, I think everyone's getting better, and I appreciate that people are trying to roleplay more.
Oh yeah, I think everyone's getting quite good at it, and I mean, whenever me and Caleb kind of go off on each other, it's always pretty
Yeah.
fun. Especially when Jacob brings a new character into the mix, like the old man at the little town that I raided.
What goes into creating a setting like the Cobalt Conservatory?
One, terrible drawing. I'm not an artist. But it's mainly like practicality. So I was thinking, and Hunter and I kind of helped design it together. It's not a big school, but there needs to be certain stuff in it. Like a school has a library, and a school has a cafeteria and stuff like that. But I wanted to kind of add a little bit of flair, which is why on the third floor there's like a dueling area for people to practice and stuff, because it just doesn't make sense to me that wizards can't practice really, because if they do they'll kill each other. So I thought that was an interesting add. But really, it's the way I do it is function, then form, then fun. So it's essentially like, what does it need to do? What does it need to look like? And what makes it interesting? And that's the way I approach dungeons too. So like, I just like, I like kind of having a structure in my mind and then going from there.
Do you take inspiration from somewhere, or is it something you just come up with?
I mean, it depends. Like, the conservatory is definitely Hogwarts-esque because, magic school. But like, I don't know. I have a general idea, but I want to kind of make stuff my own, because like, the Cobalt Conservatory does not exist in the actual campaign setting. It was something that Hunter and I created for his backstory. So if anyone wants to run a campaign in Tal'Doria, they don't have to include it if they don't want to. But they can if they want to.
Do you guys have anything to add?
No, I mean, I
don't think so right now.
yeah, I helped with Jacob make some of the characters and stuff, and that was really all he came up to me with. I mean, we kind of talked about a little bit of form and all that, but yeah, that was how he started kind of including some of us into the story, and some of it got a little tricky, like with Thea's aunt and all that, but whenever he was able to figure
Just
it out.
for
a
like
little.
everyone to know, Abby did not know that Hunter and I were designing her aunt as a character.
Yep.
And then so at the same time that Hunter and I were designing the conservatory, we were ironing out Thea's backstory more. So I remember telling Abby, so like, do you have like a mentor figure or something, leading her to it? And eventually I was like, well, Hunter and I made this character that we think would be interesting to be related to you. And then she kind of went with it. But she didn't know like what happened to her. So when in that episode, when she finds out how Thea's aunt died, that is a genuine reaction from Abby as a person. She had no idea going into that. Excuse me.
We learned that Anzu is one of the founders of the Cobalt Conservatory. What part did he play in the founding of the school?
Yeah, so backstory-wise, he's actually one of the main people that founded it. I guess in a way it was like he was part of a whole other group of people, past adventurers, and he decided to make it with them. I think the four being a guy named Valshanar, Titania, which is the, I believe, queen of the Fae? Fairies? Yeah, queen of the fairies and all the Fae. Yeah. And then Lunaris. So they kind of become like best friends and all that, and they decide to make this school. And he kind of played as, I don't want to say the headmaster, but it's almost like he was, but he didn't want it. He kind of made the whole structure.
The intro to the show mentions a drug addiction. Can you go into more detail about that part of Anzu's past?
So when I was
It's
making
my favorite one. My
Yeah.
favorite subject about Anzu.
when I was making this character, I for some reason just thought it would be really cool to have like this old drug addict man. And I had some ideas for it. So like every time he takes it, his magic is like incomprehensible. Like something just weird happens. But that was basically the downfall of how he became like level 20 to level 3. Otherwise, it'd be kind of odd to just have, this huge headmaster wizard that's such a big deal all of a sudden become no one. So we played it into the story really well, and yeah, I mean, he used to be addicted to it. He would have to like whip it out, take a little sniff and all that all the time. And then, I mean, there was one time he was even having withdrawals, and Animus, for some reason, decided to give me constipation, but it would stop the
I
withdrawals.
was trying to help. I was just trying to help.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if that's in any of our episodes. I'm not sure. No, that was way earlier. So he was
Yeah,
having
I think that-
withdrawals. Yeah, it was. He was having withdrawals.
That was very early into the story.
It also
Yeah.
is like a good way to show character growth with Anzu, because now he's basically stopped doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
I think
now
that's
he's
a
starting to
conscious
build
decision
power
from
again.
Hunter.
He's used it once for interrogation when he shoved it in a guy's nose. And that
Yeah.
was it.
I'd like to point out, Hunter, what did you eventually find out what the drugs actually were?
So it turns out that Sood is not actually a hallucinogenic drug. It's actually just a very high quality spice.
Oh.
Anzu does not know this. He thinks that it is some hardcore drug, and he apparently still has like a huge gallon of the thing just strapped onto him every
Yeah, I
week.
gave you half a jar. I still have half a jar too because of how expensive it is. I kept
Yeah.
half a jar to resell.
I need to find a way to figure out what that is so I can have an excuse to sell it because I don't know what to do with it. Sure, Oscar would have loved
Well, if
it.
you try
maybe-
to just
He'd probably like it, yeah.
sorry, if you tried to sell it and then people are like this isn't drugs or something, that would be a way for your character to find out. But that's up,
I
that's on you to.
Because there, like, it was our second or third session or something. I was going around trying to buy some, and everybody was like, "What are you talking about?" And I don't know if Jacob had it planned at the time, but
Oh yeah,
he did.
day one, buddy.
He had you leave the room. He had you leave the room and you walked outside.
oh,
It was like the
Yeah.
third. It was like the third. We were playing at a different location. It was like this community center where in one of Hunter's old buildings where he used to live, and we were sitting downstairs. And whenever like Jacob asked us to get up and leave, you'd have to walk outside. So basically,
it's
it's like
a winter. It was
yeah,
like
it's like the
It was
it's like the
freezing.
mid.
October, November.
It's like the middle of fall, and it's like
Yeah.
very early in the morning. And so Hunter leaves. He goes outside, and he's like, "Hey guys, so this is actually a spice, not a drug." And we were like, all laughing. And he never figured it out until like 2 or 3 months later when I finally told him, like, "Hey, did you know that Jacob just made it a spice?"
yeah. For everybody wondering,
so-
this is basically the
drugs.
equivalent of sniffing paprika.
Pretty much. Yeah. Or like 5 spice.
Yeah.
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 So Jacob, as a DM, how would you handle characters going on these short little drug mule quests for themselves?
Well, in Anzu's case, he'd probably wind up finding a chef that has it, and he would think the chef is just kind of seedy. I mean, I'm fine with my characters doing drugs and stuff. It's just that there's repercussions for it. So like, if Anzu got really desperate and tried to go on like a drug run, he could, and we would do it, but he would probably not be as successful as he's hoping.
Yeah. I have a quick one for you, Zach, just to help out some. Hunter, what did Anzu sound like before we started streaming?
You sound like this.
Yeah.
We got a lot of
uh,
complaints about that.
Yeah, we did. People were saying that Anzu was annoying. So, in story, the reason Anzu sounded like that is because he was strung out on drugs. So that if Anzu ever does drugs again, that voice might come back for a little while.
And if we ever do any flashbacks.
Yeah.
Briefly.
Yeah. It won't be the whole thing. Don't worry.
Oh, Anzu used to yell.
We don't want to lose followers.
I don't know if the yelling was ever caught on camera, but those were good times.
No, I don't think so.
I remember, Hunter, you would complain about that hurting your voice too.
Oh yeah, it did. By the end of the day, it hurt. It sounded like a really angry Elmo.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the last one, can you go into detail about Anzu's relationship with Crayon?
Crayon, yeah. So Crayon, basically, he was a very skilled student, and he was one of Anzu's best from the second he grew up. However, he was always a little bit odd, like not weird odd, but like evil odd, I guess. Like he wasn't pure good. There was always something missing with him, and because of that, Anzu was never really comfortable with making him a headmaster. And he was always fighting against it. And maybe it's because of that he decided to go insane and kill all the students. But eventually he does say goodbye to Anzu. Whether he felt sorry or not, we'll never know. But I think to Anzu, that school is like a family, and he will kill anyone who tries to hurt that school. I mean, even if the Silver Dragon doesn't do it, he will.
Speaking of the Silver Dragon, get a little brief explanation of your son and your granddaughter.
Yes. So the Silver Dragon is Richter, which means Anzu's son is a Silver Dragon.
And son is being used as a loose term here. It's not like Anzu's biologically related to a dragon.
He's adopted.
It's sex with the dragon, and that's what popped out.
His real name is Charlemagne, and a lot of people ask why, and that's because when Charlemagne was a little kid, he thought it was cool. So Anzu went with it. He found him as an egg whenever he was in the war, and he actually raised him with Lunaris. And together they were kind of his parents, and he's decided to stick around and kind of become the guardian of the school and its mascot.
And he is barely an adult dragon. Like,
yes.
Barely.
Technically,
really
he's a
young.
teenager,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, technically speaking, he's like...
It's like 200.
Power-wise, he's an adult dragon. Age-wise, he's a teenage dragon.
Yeah, so he's still got like thousands of years to go. But Anzu has done everything he can to make sure that he's become a fine young little man, which has worked very well. He's already the headmaster, and because of that, he has also decided to take Sakura into his arms. And Sakura is another adopted kid. She's I think, what is it called? A treant? A walking tree? Well, I guess they don't really walk.
Yeah, they're called ints in D&D, but yeah, they're treants or whatever you want to say there, yeah.
Yeah. So he found Sakura as a kid, and by the time Anzu left, she was approaching her teens, something like that.
Which in tree years is like not a sapling, but not a tree.
Yeah. You're just a little tree.
Yeah.
So he's definitely tried everything he can to make the world a better place, and that includes his kids, who can now do it for thousands of years to come. Also, I don't think anyone in the party really knows except for Thea, even though there were so many hints.
I think Braun knows too, if I
Braun?
remember correctly. I think he
I
knows
didn't
too.
tell him, but there were a lot of
But,
hints of like how Richter walks.
Yeah, there's a
in
lot.
with
And
like
when we were planning the school, Hunter was like, "Could I have like a son who's a dragon?" And I was like, "Sure." So, and then we kind of just thought of that as a backstory. And for me, it's really fun to play those kind of NPCs. Like, kind of just talking about what we're doing right now. I am really excited to play some of the NPCs that are in Iman, and some of them have not been introduced yet because the party hasn't done a ton of exploring yet. But hopefully we'll get there soon.
Yeah, just so people know, once again, we are at episodes 7 and 8 for this weekly recap, but currently in our sessions, we're at, like, we're in Amon. Whatever episode that ends up being, it's in the teens somewhere, but we're a couple episodes ahead. We're hoping to catch up by the end of the summer, just to make sure that we're giving a good explanation that people can come look back on if they don't want to watch the full episodes for some reason. I don't know why you wouldn't want to watch our old episodes.
Yeah, they're real fun.
They're real fun. Yeah. Well, there's a couple laggy bits, but they're still fun to listen to. Yeah. Is that all we got?
Yeah, I'm good.
Awesome. Well, we will definitely. Oh, go ahead, Jennifer.
So this Sunday, I have some family stuff going on, so I won't be able to attend. So Caleb is going to try and run a one shot. I have no idea what it's about. I'm sure it'll be great. But yeah. Anybody else got any other updates? Zach, you want to plug anything?
All right, awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of the weekly recap. We're gonna have Anzu/Hunter on again in a few weeks once we catch up, because his storyline and his backstory is something that is always interesting to talk about. Hopefully next week we're going to. I don't know who we're gonna have next week yet. Probably Chad Brady. Who are we missing?
We'll figure it out. It'll be a surprise.
Yeah. We'll see. Next week will either be me or
figure it
Lochnar that we focus on. Probably just throw Lochnar in there, see if Corey can jump on and start talking a little bit about him, because Lochnar is a pretty unknown character even to the group. We don't really know much about him. But in the session right now, Lochnar's backstory is kind of coming in, and he's getting a little bit more involved right now. So.
But I hope you guys come watch Caleb's one shot this Sunday, and I hope you join us next week for another recap. But if everybody's good, we're gonna sign off.
Bye.
Have a great rest of your week, everybody.
We're good.